Chapter 23. Niska. Sometimes I wonder how you manage to kill any Shavirs at all. All I ever see you do is primp each other like two idiots. Emek's hands are on her hips, the usual scolding expression on her face. Shana rolls her eyes, but doesn't miss a beat of painting my lips. I pop them loudly once she's done and smirk at Emek. And yet, the only one to kill more Shavirs than me is Dayton. That's why I'm second. That's me, a multitasker. Now it's Emek's turn to roll her eyes, but she can't hide a ghost of a smile. The Witch Queen. No need to explain that she means the Queen of Renya. Persuaded Aldan's wannabe king to come meet us all near our camp, at the Golden Queen's tent, Emek says. The asshole who wouldn't come to our camp after the two queens did. I know because I had to waste my time escorting Lian like a fucking delivery girl. Goddess, that woman rubs me wrong in every way possible. And how did she manage to have him agree to be with us in the same tent? Isn't he worried about becoming befouled? I drawl. It's the tent of the wealthiest person in all of Amada. Haven't you heard of the cleansing effect of gold? Emek smiles snidely. As I enter the tent of the Kozari Queen, I find myself helplessly squinting at the dazzling effect of the gold. Strong daylight pours through the tent's skylights. The light hits the gold ornaments and wildly twinkles and dances all over. It reminds me of the time Kala, Shana, and I stole some of Emek's spiritual mushrooms when we were kids. Everything was too much, too loud, too smelly, and too dazzling. I never stole her spiritual shit again. I will never understand the Shavirs. Why would anyone want to stay in a place so blinding? But I can't get distracted by the lights or anything else. No amount of gold would ever blind me from seeing the Shavirs for what they are. A bunch of lowlifes, driven by their never-ending thirst for power, immortality, and pretty much anything they feel like robbing from us. I scan the tent. Emek and Dayton stand at my side. At the center of the tent stands the Kozari Queen. At least, I assume that's who she is, since her face is covered with a golden veil, and she could just be a pile of gilded cloth for all I know. Nas, her uncle the Duke, and Noka, her priest, stand behind her. Lian stands to the Queen's side, wearing one of Shana's makeshift dresses. The fabric is plain, but it hugs the body in a way that manages to look elegant. Lian's white hair stands out even more than usual in the extra bright tent, sparkling and twinkling like fresh snow in the sunlight. It's braided like a crown, and if it were anyone else, who I slightly loathed less, I might think it gave her an aura of sainthood. But there are no saints in Amada, and if there were any, they wouldn't be heathens. She glances in our direction and quickly diverts her gaze as our eyes connect, as she always does. She is afraid of me, and rightly so. Just the sight of her makes my blood boil. Then the Witch Queen, Lian, enters the tent. She's not dressed the same as when I last saw her. At the time, she wore the Renyan Royal Guard uniform, and her blue hair was down. Today, she's in a white gown. Her hair is up under a silver coronet. Behind her stand a silver-haired Renyan woman and a Renyan man who looks arrogant, as all Renyans do. The Witch Queen pauses at the tent's entrance, waiting for 3 other Aldonian men. A tall young man enters and everyone looks at him as if he's important, so I figure he's Nikanor, Lian's brother, the Crown Prince of Aldan, and by rumors, they're king any day now. Of all the Shavirs, I hate the Aldonians, the most for obvious reasons. It's with their killing I mostly linger, relishing their suffering, their begging. And they always beg. I make sure of it. They're not such big, strong men all of a sudden. Not when they meet someone who can rise to their power and cruelty. Nikanor introduces his entourage. Rashkan, the high priest, and Najan, the head of one of the brigades of the Aldonian army. The condescending pricks don't even acknowledge Dayton, Emek, or me. Although they do notice me, no Aldonian can go without noticing me. Their disrespect toward us is only amplified as they fawn over the Kozari Queen. Nikanor, the idiot, goes on about the widespread word of her beauty, sticking his tongue so up her ass it's impossible he doesn't taste shit in the process. I wonder if that's also gilded. For the millionth time, I ask myself what Dayton sees in Lian. She's such a fragile little thing. I can snap her neck like a twig with just one hand. Scoop her eyes out with my thumb. I keep entertaining myself by imagining how I can deform her body until the Shavirs finish their tedious mutual bootlicking. All eyes are on Lian now. Everyone is waiting for her to tell us how we can win against the demichads. She nervously bites her lip, and I want to punch her. How was this little mouse chosen to lead us? Her sister is a total bitch, but at least she has guts. She doesn't shiver like a fucking leaf half the time. I glance at Dayton and feel like knocking him in the head with my axe. He always watches her like a hungry wolf spotting a lamb. And whenever she bites her lip nervously, which she does quite often, he looks like he is deploying every single muscle in his body to not launch himself at her in front of all of us and start humping her like the rotting dog she's made of him. This must be witchcraft. There is no other way to explain this. I've known the man all my life. He was never an idiot, the furthest thing from it. Not until she showed up to his trial. She is pretty, in that fragile, sickly way a Shavir can be. All innocent and submissive with those luscious pink lips and adoring big eyes. But she's so petite. How can anyone fuck her without breaking her by accident? That he of all men would fall for her witchcraft is the biggest disappointment I have ever had in my entire life. And I have had my share of disappointments, goddess knows. But this, the great emancipator, is like an animal in heat for a Shavir witch. This is fucking humiliating. Even Kala and Shana, those traitors, won't shut up about her. I begged Emek to speak to him. I tried talking to him myself, to make him see reason. It was our biggest fight ever, and he has been giving me the silent treatment ever since. I insulted him. I didn't mean to, but he had to hear this from me. Everyone else would only talk behind his back. They will never dare to confront him. Lian finally starts talking, but with the bullshit she says, it would have been better if she had not spoken at all. She says the demichads are skinless, and their most significant vulnerability is salt. So weird to throw salt at them? I drawl at her, making it obvious what an idiot I think she is. I can feel Dayton's eyes burning me with a rebuke. He barked at me to behave before we entered the tent. Yeah, well, I'm not a kid anymore. Lian shakes her head and explains that what we need to do is pull them out of their habitats underground by pouring salt water. But the salt will kill only some of them, and thousands will emerge from the ground. And they will need to be killed in conventional ways. So her big idea is to have the battle inside the canyon. It's close to the River of Tears. So basically, we're to pour as much salt water as possible, flood the canyon, and then kill all the demichads that try to get away up the high ground. She explains that the Renyans and Kozaris will build the infrastructure of pipes to transfer the water from the River of Tears. Shana told me they have water coming out of their walls in Milasuri. They don't need to carry it from the rivers or springs like us. So I guess the witches know how to move water. We shall provide as many men and material as you require, Your Grace, the Kozari Queen says sweetly. It's strange hearing her referring to Lian as Your Grace after she's been slumbering and doing her laundry and dishes with the rest of us. Lian acknowledges the Kozari Queen with a curtsy and shifts her eyes to meet those of her sister, who has remained quiet. Fine, the Witch Queen mutters. Then Lian shifts her chin and says, "In addition to that, Renya's healers will take care of the injured coming out of the canyon." I glance at Dayton. He used to be against Renyan witchcraft, but now he actually saved her with it, so I am only half surprised when he doesn't say anything. I wait to see the Witch Queen's reaction, because the Renyans don't use their healing on the likes of us. "Absolutely not!" exclaims the man beside her, appalled at the mere idea. But the Witch Queen gives him such a domineering look that he starts, and I can see him swallow all the way from where I'm standing. "Not only shall we provide healers," the Witch Queen says with derision, "but the head of the royal healers herself will supervise the operation." The men and women with her both inhale sharply but don't dare say anything, and for the first time I want to kill her a little bit less. Then Lian says Mongans and Aldonian warriors will kill the demichads emerging from the ground. Renyan and Kozaris don't know how to fight. I would know. I've killed many of them. It's like taking candy from a baby. I've killed many Aldonians too, but at least you get to play with them a bit longer until they die. Renyans and Kozaris are too easy. It's fucking boring. Our archers will stand on the edges of the canyon and will shoot at anything that comes from within," said Nikanor. "While the Mongans will be in the valley at your aim," Dayton growls. Finally, he awakens to think with his head instead of his dick. Nikanor shrugs in a dismissive way with a royal asshole smile on his face, speaking to the Shavirs as if Dayton is not there. "We are best at arching." "You've got to be kidding!" Emek turns to Lian. Finally, they speak, but Lian only bites her lip and holds Dayton's gaze on her. It's like they're having a fucking conversation with their eyes. She is probably bewitching him some more. He keeps his face reticent, but I notice the muscle jumping at his jaw. He's worried, and that's a new thing for him. "You will protect us in the valley, Lian." Emek frowns. During his trial, Dayton said she saved his life more than once and that she controls nature. "I can't promise that," she answers quietly. "We'll kill the demichads," Dayton grunts while holding Lian's gaze. He can't be serious. It's fucking suicide. "But we will be completely exposed to those assholes' arrows!" I cry in frustration. Dayton ignores me and asks Lian, "When?" 30 days from now. The sun and moon will meet at midday. Then, she answers and bites her lip again. "No fucking way!" I snarl. "I'm his second in command, not because he favors me, but because I earned my place in combat. I'm not going to lead our people to death just because that witch has a hold of him." The Eldonians smirk at my frustration. I shouldn't have spoken against Dayton in front of them. I know better. Emek glowers at me, but Dayton seems unfazed. He was never unfazed until she arrived. She changed him. The Eldonian general says, "Come now. Even your mother favored us." And I go rigid. My red hair and red eyes can only mean one thing. For him to speak of it is beyond disrespectful, beyond humiliating. Dayton pulls me to him and says in a low voice, "Humiliation is worse than death," and gives me a little shove into the direction of the Eldonians. Humiliation is worse than death. It means I must reclaim my honor right now. But it also means I don't get to kill him, only humiliate him. The fucker deserves to die, though. We left our weapons outside the tent. The Kozaris insisted. But as I step in the direction of the general, he pulls a knife out of his boot. It should stop surprising me by now how these people have no honor. At least not when it comes to us. But I'm glad he pulls his knife. I'll get to have some fun, hopefully. He straddles and spreads his arms wider, his knife in his right hand. He's scared under his facade of bravado. I can see the beads of sweat beneath his hairline, the too shallow breathing. I move my right leg as if to kick him, and when he moves his hand to deflect my leg, I punch him hard in the throat. He's slow, even for a Shavir. He stumbles a step back, his eyes widen in alarm. Aldonian men, forever the sexist bigots they are. They can never view me as a deadly threat, even though I've been killing them for more than 40 years already. I knee him in the groin. He falls to his knees, groaning. Too easy. Disappointment bubbles in me. I won't get any relief from my aggression with this one. He's a slob, and by the smell of him, drunk. Many of the Aldonians I encounter are, even though the true religion doesn't allow alcohol. They're only religious when it suits them. They say we're too contaminated for them to engage with us in any way. Yet they don't fear for the purity of their souls enough not to rape Mongans like my mother. I grab his right hand and bend it behind his back, then take the knife from him. I flip him to the ground with one leg motion and straddle him with my thighs. My sex is on his chin, his eyes wide with terror. That's the thing about Aldonian men. They think so poorly of women that this right here is the greatest humiliation for an Aldonian warrior. I toss the knife aside because I don't need it to hold him down. And as that is well known, he is even more humiliated between my thighs. His hands try to claw at mine to get free. I clamp my thighs harder at his nape until he gasps in an attempt for air. So you were saying of my mother? I drawl, and his hands are limp now as his life starts to leave him. Niska. I can hear Dayton's low, soft voice. Right. Humiliate, don't kill. I push my sex to the man's face before I rise, and I actually hear Lian gasp in mortification. She hurries to cover her mouth with her hand, her cheeks burning. How the fuck can he want this pathetic excuse of a woman? I ask myself in frustration for the millionth time. I walk out of the tent, meeting Dayton's eyes, and he smiles impishly. He hasn't smiled at me for weeks. These are the things that make my father proud of me. She will never get it. She will never get him. Dayton joins me outside the tent. Are you seriously agreeing to this suicide? I snap at him. You don't want them fighting by your side. They will die so quickly, and their bodies will only be in your way, he tells me. That actually sounds right. But it still doesn't mean we can agree to them standing with arrows aimed in our direction. But what will stop them from killing us after we finish off the demichads? I insist. If we finish off the demichads, he grunts, and I raise my eyebrow at him. Doesn't he think we can beat the demichads? This is even worse than I thought. So why are we playing along? I know why, and rage washes over me. So we're doing this just so you can fuck that witch? Okay, now he's pissed. His eyes turn obsidian black. Everything about him screams danger. Is this any way to speak to your father? I hear Emek behind me. The damn woman walks quieter than a cat. I know the scolding is actually to help me this time. He looks like he's about to explode. But he says nothing. Besides, I don't need Emek's help. I'm not scared of him. Say something! I yell at him. Deny it! I owe you no explanations. He growls at me. You're the warlord, for fuck's sake! This is our people's survival on the line, and all you care about is getting inside her! I cry out. I swear if a child of mine spoke to me this way, I would rip her tongue out with my bare hands. What is wrong with you, Niska? Emek glowers at me. You wouldn't have chosen a Shavir over your daughter! I snap at her. You are a 50-year-old woman, for goddess' sake! Pull yourself together! She hisses at me. I didn't even notice when Dayton took off, but it's only Emek and me now. My people worship the goddess, but I have always worshipped my father. Kings are not allowed in our religion, but if they were, he would be crowned. He freed my mother from the mansion she was enslaved in. She was 7 months pregnant, and he carried her back to the Mongan camp. When I was born, shortly after, and came out with red hair and red eyes, the goddess's servants said I should be given as a sacrifice to the goddess. But Dayton took my mother and me to his tent, and no one said I should be killed anymore. At least not to Dayton's face. He is the emancipator, so no one argues when he saves a half-Aldonian baby. And after he took my mother and me under his protection, they stopped killing the babies conceived by rape. The Oracle is the Mongan's leader, but truly it was always him, even though he will never admit it, not even to himself. While my mother treated me as a mother would, she always saw her rapist in me, and her heart was never in it. But the love she lacked for me, she had for him and more. My mother was utterly in love with him, her savior. It was pathetic to watch. It was obvious he would never return her feelings. He was so obsessed with Bagiva and what they'd done to her. Who could blame him? But I could blame him for letting her come to his bed. I would lie on my pallet and wake up from the cold caused by her absent body, and I would hear them. Most times he would send her away, but sometimes he wouldn't. And I could never decide on which mornings she looked more miserable. The ones when she came back to our pallet with her pride hurt, or the ones after she spent the night in his bed and he was so evidently unfazed by it. I will give him credit for never bringing other women to the tent as long as we stayed with him. He was going to those women's tents instead, as they constantly swarmed around him like cats in heat. There are better-looking Mongans than him, and for sure better ones at flirting, but he is a living legend. And who doesn't want a piece of the legend? I guess those were the mornings when she was most miserable. The ones after his pallet remained empty, even though he was in camp and not out raiding Shavirs. But most days and nights, he wasn't in camp, but out there killing Shavirs anyway. Looking back, I think my mother was an ungrateful woman with no honor. Dayton saved her because he was an honorable man, not because of anything else. But she used that act of honor to try to squeeze more out of him. It wasn't the way to pay her debt to him. When I was 10, my mother met a man who wanted to marry her. She came to ask Dayton's permission, and he said he couldn't grant her permission, for she never belonged to him. But he gave her his blessing and wished her a life of honor. I think she hoped he would refuse her, so she could stay and keep collecting the crumbs of his affection. But my mother wasn't completely stupid, so she told him she wanted just that, a life with honor. And that meant a life in which she wasn't raped by a Shavir man, even though a Mongan woman is stronger than a Shavir man. At least that's what people said behind her back. They made Bagiva a martyr, and my mother a whore. Maybe because of the number of men who were involved, or maybe because my mother didn't have the decency to simply die. Whatever it was, it's no life worth having, shamed wherever you turn. At the age of 26, she wanted a new life. A life without me, the constant evidence of her disgrace. I remember sitting on the ground watching the only mother I had ever known grow smaller and smaller as she walked farther away with her new husband. Then there was a sudden shadow, and it was Dayton's big body looming over me. He crouched on one knee, and with his thumb wiped away the tears I hadn't realized I was shedding. "You are my daughter now," he said. And I wondered how the saddest day could turn into the happiest with only 5 words. Before that day, the kids would tease me for my colors, and Dayton taught me how to fight back. But from that day, no one ever dared to mock the emancipator's daughter. With 5 words, I transformed from a charity case into the blood of a legend. Without my mother around, he stepped in, raised me as his own, and taught me how to make a Shavir bleed to death before I turned 12. And he made sure that when he was away for killing, which was more often than not, Emek and Bahar would care for me as their own. And because of all this, I was not surprised when my father refused to breed the Shavir prince as forcefully. He had more honor in his little finger than Minera had in her entire body. So when they said Minera would nominate a new warlord, I took off for a few days so I wouldn't need to refuse her and only make things worse. Of course, I couldn't take my father's place and betray him in such a way. But her lack of honor meant she would ask. So she nominated Nero, and we all know how that turned out. But ever since the witch came to his trial, they barely know him anymore. He actually made the warriors take down the Shavirs' bodies from the camp entrance because she asked it of him. Him! The one who helped me hang my first corpse when I wasn't yet tall enough to do it. How can the Mongan with more honor than anyone walking this land bow like that to a Shavir witch? I can't stand it. I can't. Emek grabs my shoulders and shakes me. You need to trust him, you ungrateful child. She is the savior that was promised to us. He knows what he's doing. He loves her. He loves a fucking Shavir! I cry out, and my voice breaks because that's much worse than what I dared to say to him. I only dared to tell him that he wanted to fuck her. But he loves her. I know him, and at this rate he will ask her for a blood oath. But that is a fear I don't dare express even to Emek. Mongans don't give blood to anyone but Mongans. After all the Shavirs have done to us, how can he betray our people like that? How can he betray me like that? I sound like a little girl, but I don't understand how she can be on his side. She sighs. Of all the Mongans, Niska, you should know not to judge a woman by her colors. I know she means well, but of everything she could have said to me, that is the cruelest. I will always be half Shavir to them. No matter how many Shavirs I kill, my people will always look at me and see the rapist's blood in me. Aha, there you are, Nis. Didn't you hear me calling for you? I hear the endearment only my uncle uses as I'm about to enter my tent. I shut my eyes and take a deep breath to compose myself. I want to be alone. But to be alone among Mongans is rarer than snow in summer. Boundaries are not something my people believe in. In fact, they usually find the concept insulting. After all, why wouldn't you want their opinion on everything, especially your own life? I did hear him. Goddess forgive me, I heard my uncle's call and kept walking. This is really not my best day. I turned to face him. I'm sorry, Uncle. Forget it. He grins at me and waves his hand dismissively. In his other hand, he holds a big green ball. What is that? This, as Lian has informed me, is supposed to be some kind of fruit. Heaviest fruit I have ever seen, I'll tell you that. It's supposed to be really good. She said she wouldn't snitch on me to the Renians for nicking it if I save her some. I was kind of proud of her. Her very first blackmail. He chuckles. I groan in frustration. That damn woman again. Come on, let's find a place to try it without having to share. He winks at me. He is so obvious, but I can't help but smile at his blatant efforts. He couldn't give a fuck about the damn green thing. He hunted me down to cheer me up. Bahar really is the best. Growing up, I always wondered how he could be Dayton's best friend. They are so different. One is a brutal giant, and the second is a jovial, stocky, sweet man. Even after everything the Shavirs took from him and Emek. But then, a few years after I became a warrior, we ran into Aldonian soldiers. And well, let's just say he is not all sweetness. I was quite impressed, really. I guess they are not that different after all. I follow Bahar to a nearby clearing filled with white flowers I can't name. At least we're out of the swamps now. It might cost us, but goddess knows we needed to get out of there. Bahar puts down the ridiculously enormous fruit and breaks it with his knife's hilt. I crouch next to him and can't help but laugh at the childish glee on his face as he exclaims, "Look, it's red inside!" Then he adds impishly, "Just like the Shavirs." All blood is red, but those fuckers do bleed beautifully, I answer wryly. He slices some of the red flesh and tastes it. His eyes widen in surprise. "She didn't exaggerate. Try some, Nis." He hands me a piece with his knife. I gasp at the sweet flavor. Damn Renians. Damn them all for pushing us to the swamps, degrading us by forcing us to eat and breathe what no one else would find worthy. "It's good," I say, and take another slice. "I'd better save some for Emek, or she'll make me sleep outside the tent again." He chuckles. "The woman terrorizes you." I shake my head. They make the funniest couple. "Over 100 years already. May she terrorize me 100 more." He grins. It's so strange that they can be in love after so long. I can't stand the guy for more than 2 days. 100 years sounds like a nightmare. "She said you were upset," he adds, finally getting to the point. The reason he came to me in the first place. She most likely sent him. Oh, goddess. Did she run to tell you? It was just now. He ignores me and asks, "You want to talk to your uncle about it, kid?" You do realize I'm 50, right? I roll my eyes at him. "You'll always be a kid to me." He smiles his soft, loving smile. But I don't have words in me anymore. I feel drained from my outburst toward Dayton and his lame reaction. So we stay quiet for a while. "Your father loves you, you know." His voice takes on a solemn note. "Bahar, she is a Shavir. The fucking princess of Aldan and Vrenya. What will the people say? How can they follow him into battle if he chooses the enemy's blood over our own?" "You are young, even if you are not a kid anymore. You were born after the Oblivion, after the Emancipator struck the Shavirs for the first time," he says pensively. "But once, we were not a nation of warriors. The fighting is new to us. Before the Oblivion, we lived in peace. We were always stronger than the Shavirs, but they had not even known it. We were fine with the little we had. We only wanted to live quietly, work on our crafts, celebrate our holidays, and raise our children. We were makers. That was what we were. And after the Oblivion, and before Dayton became what he is now, we were victims. It's a shitty word, but I don't think there is a better one for what we were back then. It took us too long to adjust to the new reality that emerged. It took us Dayton to lead the way. But now we are warriors. They call us murderers. Maybe we are both. Maybe we are all of it. The makers, the victims, the warriors, and the murderers." He sighs. I think she can be good for him. I start to protest, but he ignores me and keeps talking. "I think Lian reminds him he was once something else. And if he forgets that, all that is left is what they made him become. Maybe all of us could use a reminder that we are more than what they made us. That before the Shavirs, we were something else. Something more. I twirl one of the white flowers, tears in my eyes. Nis, look at me. I know you don't share blood, but he loves you no less than any other father. Even more, because I have never met anyone who loves or hates as strongly as him. He also has a crappy way of showing his feelings since Bagiva. He was different then, but it is what it is. So just remember that, all right? Whatever happens, your father loves you until his last breath, and after that, among the stars. No woman can change that, Shavir or not. Okay, kid?